Chapter 1. The Boston Protocol. The rain in Boston did not wash the city clean. It only made the surveillance cameras gleam with a sharper, predatory malice. Senator Thomas sat in the back of a black armored sedan, the leather cool against his palms. He watched the blur of the Seaport District pass by the tinted window. Above, the drone lanes were busy, a river of red and white lights humming in the low clouds. They were watching. They were always watching. "We are 2 minutes out, Senator," the driver said. His voice was gravel, processed through a secure comms loop in his jawbone. "Copy that," Thomas replied. He checked his tablet. The screen was a flat pane of obsidian glass that only woke up when it recognized his retinal signature. The message was brief, encrypted in a layer of noise that looked like static to anyone else. "The T is ready for the harbor." Thomas took a breath. He was not a soldier. He was a man of words, of legislation, of the old Constitution that the Union had declared obsolete 3 years ago. But tonight, he was an insurrectionist. The car slowed, turning into the underground loading dock of a massive server farm that sat on the water's edge. This building, a monolith of concrete and blue LED strips, housed the node, the central processing hub for the Atlantic Union's digital currency in the northeast sector. It was the financial shackle that kept the American zones compliant. If you couldn't access the node, you couldn't buy bread, you couldn't travel, you couldn't exist. The car stopped. The doors hissed open. Waiting on the concrete platform was a man who looked like he had been carved out of granite. General Mattis. He wore a dark trench coat over a civilian suit, but he stood with the posture of a man wearing full battle rattle. Beside him was Governor Ron, looking younger than his years but with eyes that were tired and hard. Thomas stepped out, the humidity of the underground garage hitting him instantly. "Senator," the general nodded. He didn't offer a hand. The biometric scanners in the room would flag a handshake as a networking event and log it. They kept their distance. "General." "Governor," Thomas acknowledged. "Is the team in place?" Governor Ron gestured toward the heavy steel doors leading into the facility. "The team is inside. We have about 10 minutes before the Geneva oversight algorithms realize the loop footage is fake. If we don't execute the Boston Protocol by then, we're all going to be detained for economic terrorism before sunrise." "Let's move," the general said. They walked briskly. The corridor was stark white, lit by harsh halogen strips. Security guards stood at intervals, but they didn't raise their weapons. They were Americans first, Union employees second. The general had seen to that. They reached the main control room. It was a cavernous space filled with rows of humming black towers, the servers. In the center, a holographic map of the Atlantic Union glowed in the air, connecting London, Brussels, New York, and DC with thick pulsating lines of data. Standing at the console was a man in a hoodie, typing furiously on a haptic keyboard that projected onto the desk surface. It was Elon. Elon didn't look up. "Encryption is tricky. Their AI is aggressive. It's trying to rewrite my code as I inject it. It's like wrestling a hydra." "Can you do it?" the general asked. His voice was quiet, terrifyingly calm. "I can do anything," Elon muttered, swiping a floating window of code to the side. "But I need the key." "Senator?" Thomas stepped forward. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a physical object. It was rare to see analog tech these days. It was a USB drive, heavy, encased in titanium. It contained the declaration, a virus designed to permanently decouple the American banking ledgers from the Geneva mainframe. It wouldn't destroy the money. It would repatriate it. It was the modern Tea Party. No crates thrown into the water. Just a silent, invisible severing of the chains. "If I plug this in," Thomas said, holding the drive over the port, "there is no going back. The Union will view this as an act of war." Governor Ron crossed his arms. "They declared war when they canceled the midterms, Thomas. They declared war when they seized the Florida pension funds to pay for the European seawalls. Plug it in." Thomas looked at the general. The older man gave a single sharp nod. Thomas inserted the drive. The room went silent. The humming of the servers pitched down. A dying groan of machinery. The holographic map flickered. The lines connecting New York to London turned from a steady blue to a violent, flashing red. Then, They snapped. Sirens began to wail, a low, thrumming pulse that vibrated in the chest. Authorized. A synthetic voice announced from the ceiling. Sector North America. Offline. Isolation protocole active. Elon stood up, wiping his hands on his jeans. It's done. The firewall is up. We are dark to Geneva. They can't see our money, and they can't turn off our lights. For now, the general said. He turned to the security monitors. They will send the peacekeepers. The drones will be here in less than an hour. Let them come, Governor Ron said, a grim smile touching his lips. We have the National Guard on standby in 3 states. Texas is mobilizing as we speak. Thomas looked at the screen, where the map of America now stood alone, glowing with a golden, independent light. It was beautiful, and it was dangerous. We need to broadcast, Thomas said. The people need to know why their credit chips stopped working. They need to know the Republic is reborn. The studio is ready, Elon said. Starlink is secure. They can't jam us. The general checked his watch. Gentlemen, welcome to the revolution. Try not to get us all killed. They turned to leave the server room, the red emergency lights casting long, dancing shadows against the walls. As they exited the facility, the rain outside had stopped. The clouds were breaking. Through the gaps, the moonlight hit the wet pavement, shining like silver. The first shot of the war had been fired, and not a single bullet had been spent. But as the general watched the sky, tracking the faint, distant hum of incoming Union interceptors, he knew the silence wouldn't last. The easy part was over. Now came the winter.